3D virtual worlds and the metaverse, current status and future possibilities. And here we are today at the Peninsula College virtual classroom. So we are experiencing a 3D virtual world while we learn about 3D virtual worlds. And I am going to try to keep up with his answers and paraphrase them in the text chat since we're having some technical difficulty. So without any further ado, I'll go ahead and ask the first question. And the first question that a student has for Will is, do you think it is smart to invest in virtual world commerce now while it is relatively young? Or perhaps your thoughts on the current state of interest?
That's actually a good question. We can talk about that. From 20 years ago, we asked the same question. We're speaking from commerce as a banking investment. Well, probably not. Unless you're to sit down and figure out the next cross-currency exchange for virtual worlds, like a virtual world stock market, in which case you might be onto something. But in the context of investing in a virtual world itself as an ecosystem, there really isn't a huge ROI as of yet for that. You could start in a place like Second Life, but you're in a walled garden reaching out to those participants, or you could just choose another platform and go from there. It poses an interesting thought experiment, and it can offer a lot of compelling use case data even if you aren't hitting a broad appeal just yet. I think the bigger question to this is, it depends. Virtual worlds themselves have a huge potential, and it could serve to invest in one of the platforms, especially something like Second Life or the upcoming Sansar platform, if for no other reason than for the wealth of understanding you'll gain from using them, which will be applied as virtual worlds mature and become more ubiquitous, Oculus Rift, and so on. Use cases and insights from these interactions are what we'll get today from doing so, and even exploring new and inventive ways to apply ourselves. So if you're in branding, business, education, it's all relevant. It's all a long-term use as the industry expands. I would most definitely say yes to this, because one thing that we're going to see going forward is companies looking for people with virtual reality experience and augmented reality experience, whether that's technical or simply answering the question, hey, are you familiar with how to engage with this platform effectively?
That is excellent, and I'm glad that you brought up some of the new platforms coming out like Sansar. It's really interesting to see what's going to happen in the future. Do you see a future where we are completely virtual rather than living our actual lives? Curious on your view, asks one student.
That's another one. Well, if that future exists, then it's likely at the end of an advanced augmented reality system and not just virtual reality. I mean, I'm sure we could put on a headset one day, or we'd have it implanted in our eyeballs and brains, but the idea of, say, cyberpunk, where we jack in like the Matrix, I think it's plausible, but not for quite a while. Of course, if we're approaching this from a thought experiment perspective, maybe we already are external beings plugged into a highly advanced virtual reality experience. Maybe life itself is a complex simulation space where we're all just plugged in for a bit in this virtual reality called life.
Okay, excellent. And another question from a student for Will is, what do you see in the year 2025 in relation to 3D worlds? So here's a future prediction. Where would you like to see them as a whole?
In the year 25. Well, let's see. By the year 2025, I think I see virtual worlds taking a bigger place in our lives, but more likely in the form of augmented reality than purely VR. VR will probably be more commonplace, but I think the advances of virtual reality as an industry are what will drive that into a total mixed reality experience in the near future. If you want an idea of what that's going to look like, a good book to read that illustrates it is Mana by Marshall Brain. I would definitely look into that one. You get an idea of what that virtual reality, augmented reality future would look like in the end.
Oh, I definitely want to read that. That sounds very interesting. Okay, and from another student, we have a question. How might a graphic designer who is just beginning to grasp the virtual world concept immerse themselves in it easily and begin using it as a means to generate income?
With my 10-step program, you too can make 1,000,000 lindens. One thing the virtual world always needs is amazing textures. If you're a graphics designer, you can get your start in virtual reality by making unique and high-quality textures to sell in a virtual world marketplace like Second Life. If you'd like to take it further, then I guess you can learn 3D modeling and make items just the same.
And our next question is going to be, do you think it is possible to combine our virtual experience with our real-world physical experiences?
Oh, absolutely. We'll likely see that in the next 5 or 10 years or less with advanced augmented reality systems. Magic Leap is a great example of this, as well as other endeavors that are going on right now. Maybe Meta 2, Microsoft HoloLens, they're pushing in that direction. So I think what you're going to see is exactly that. You're going to start seeing that mixed reality experience. And I think when that comes out, what you're going to see is everybody's going to look up and say, virtual reality what? Or Oculus Rift 2. And I think there's a reason for that, because Oculus Rift is actually, Oculus themselves has actually been looking into that augmented reality kind of tech, putting like eye trackers and stuff into the headset and everything. So they're not completely unaware of where this is going. For now, virtual reality is great when you need a completely simulated space. However, I think what we're going to see is that mixed reality evolution of it, where you wake up one day and you put on at first it'll be a headset, like we have today, but as things progress, it'll come down to like sunglasses sort of deal as technology gets better and better. But what you're going to do is we're going to go from a completely virtual space to a day where we can have Mario, just running around your living room, and you can have a gamepad or something, and banging on question mark blocks, that are floating over your table or something, and putting a flagpole up on the kitchen counter. And we're gonna start seeing stuff like that. I was talking about this to my friend Kevin Russell over at MetaWave Media the other day, and I said, the best application I could possibly think of on a mixed reality system would be combining maps for like Google, but with mixed reality, and then taking the streets in your neighborhood and turning it into a Pac-Man maze where you're running around grabbing the dots, and then having giant 3D ghosts roaming around the block coming to try to get you. I said that would be the greatest thing ever. I'm like, I would go out and do jogging every day if I had to play that game. So you can gamify the hell out of everything. Real life, go for it. You want you want stuff like Godzilla stomping through New York City, or you want to turn your neighborhood into a crime drama where you're the detective and you got to go find clues and stuff. Yeah, that's going to happen. You're not going to be sitting in front of a TV watching true crime. You're going to be going out around the neighborhood looking for clues and seeing virtual murder scenes and whatever else, trying to solve it. And that's the future of media, I think, when we start getting into that total immersion, media. But we got to think of different ways to do it. Right now, a lot of companies are like, well, if you put a headset on, we can go to a concert. That's great. You can watch a football. We're looking at ways to, show you TV in a virtual headset, virtual reality headset. I'm going, that's not really the future. The future would be, how does this stuff, revolutionize, augment your real life? And it's going to. A discussion I had a while back with Sears Sears Holding was, revolutionizing retail. I mean, how do you think an augmented reality headset like this is going to work in augmented reality when you can start dropping products into your real life home? You want to get a new, patio set. But if you just open up your, augmented reality thing and just start dropping 3D versions like you do in Second Life in your backyard, and then tap on it with your finger and go, I want to buy that. And Sears or whatever will send it to you. That's the future. It's totally in context. It's a showroom for you.
Amazing.
Everywhere. So.
Yes, I like your comment that the future of media, it's not just participatory culture, it's participatory media, participatory everything.